Police at your door. Bailiffs demanding entry. A legal threat lands without warning. In that moment, who's actually on your side? This is Willoughby Genius Mark II, a legal protection platform that acts like your own personal legal team. Built on over 750,000 verified legal entries, spanning 50+ countries, it delivers immediate, actionable guidance when it matters most. No appointments, no gatekeepers, no £300 an hour delays. Just clear, lawful direction in real time. It doesn't replace the law. It gives you direct access to it. Powered by advanced AI, Willoughby Genius Mark II verifies, prompts, and protects. Calmly, precisely, and without bias. It never forgets a statute. It never panics. And it's always available. Legal technology is moving fast. Those who understand it early will have choices. Those who don't will be managed by it. Willoughby Genius Mark II goes further than any barrister. It educates too. Know your rights. Act decisively. Take back control. Click on the link below and use LSB Pro for £5 off your first month's premium.
Hello and welcome to another LSB Film podcast with me, your host, Chris with a K. I hope everyone's well. Today's conversation jumps quickly from personal background to big picture claims about how society is structured and influenced. Today's guest is Justin Walker, and he traces his roots in environmental politics, then pivots his arguments that environmental messaging has been shaped by powerful groups such as the Club of Rome and the World Economic Forum, questioning mainstream narratives. The discussion then broadens into financial power, with claims that global money systems are controlled by institutions such as the Bank for International Settlements, alongside historical banking networks. It also touches on the alleged hidden influence, figures like David Icke, and concerns around digital ID, surveillance, and AI governance. But running through it all is a core message, a call for a humanity-first approach that prioritises compassion and human values over financial or technocratic systems. So, we touch on a lot more than that as well, but the intro only so long. So, let's get on with it. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
So, yes, welcome Justin Walker. This is going to be a very interesting podcast because you're a very interesting guest. So, settle down, folks, and enjoy this one, as I shall do. Welcome to the show.
Yes, well, hello, Chris, and lovely to see you.
Likewise. You're looking
it's
very
a beautiful
well.
Summer's day, too. It's May out there, all the trees. I've just been up on the golf course, not playing golf.
Can you define beautiful?
Beautiful. Well, it's sunny with no chemtrails.
See, I've got cloud and rain.
Ah, right. Well, up in Kendal.
We had that yesterday, though.
Up in the Lake District, it's lovely. And my dog and I have just been up on the golf course, and we found 2 balls, and he finds plenty of balls, and we take them down to the RSPCA. And
what do they do with them?
Pardon?
What do they do with them?
Sell them 4 for £1. And
back to the golf club?
Oh yeah, back to
it's
the
a bit
golf.
like having a homing pigeon that you keep selling.
Well, I must admit, we came down after 3 days over the bank holiday, and we found 53 balls, and I found about half of them, and the dog had found the rest. And it's very good exercise. The wife likes me up there because I'm
in the house.
Well, yeah, and it's out of the house. She's not used to this retirement thing yet, so it's all good. But I do like good walking, and having a dog by your side, you can talk to the dog, and it doesn't give you a load back. So it's nice.
No, absolutely. No, I do like dogs. I just don't like dogs that constantly bark. But that's not down to the dog. That's down to the owners. Yeah.
Anyway.
What would you like to kick this off with, sir?
Well, I belong to a group of people called the Great Rising. Now, the Great Rising is not a hierarchical organization. We don't have leaders. We're not a political party. We're just a think tank, but a very benign think tank, which,
I was going to say the WEF is a think
well,
tank.
exactly, and the Bilderbergers and the
Yeah.
trilateralists and all the rest of them. No, no, no. We are simply a grouping of people from all walks of life who most of us have, or almost all of us, have woken up to the fact that we're being run by criminals and traitors and God knows what, but long before the COVID nonsense and debacle. In my case, I suppose I've been awake now 35 years, which is quite frightening.
What woke you?
Well,
Don't say the alarm clock.
well, I was in the Green Party and the Ecology Party, and I'd
Oh,
already
dear.
woken up to the fact that
You must
this,
be so proud looking at them now.
yes, well, exactly. This is pre Zelensky, or no, not Zelensky, what's he called? Polanski, Zach Polanski. Yes, well, he's clearly a front. Well, we'll come on to that later on. But no, when I joined the Ecology Party, we had the likes of David Bellamy talking to us and being. It was Jacques Cousteau, the oceanographer, who inspired everyone to bring the environment to politics. So we were the genuine article, if you like, because we wanted to help save the planet from pollution and exploitation, etc. So yeah, but
Because that is a very real thing. But I know people go on about climate change and it being a hoax and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, but pollution is still a thing,
oh gosh, yeah, and the
as is.
microplastics in the oceans and everything else. There's a huge amount we've got to do to restore the ecosystems and to restore the diversity. And I still call myself a green because I want to live on a wonderful planet which is happy, prosperous, vibrant, and beautiful. And you know,
How much, playing devil's advocate here,
yeah,
how much could the Earth sort itself out if we just left it alone and stopped adding to it?
quite a lot. I think, yeah, I think humans with wisdom, and we'll come on to that. Humans with wisdom can certainly help. I mean, we could certainly start greening the deserts, for instance. And this is about the only time you'll ever hear me say anything good about Israel, because I view Israel as a pariah state. But I will say that their scientists have learnt how to green dry, arid areas, and to do it naturally. And this is what we could be doing all over the world. We could be increasing biodiversity by ridding ourselves of desertification.
CO2 helps quite a lot with the
Well,
greening of the planet, doesn't it?
this is where the Greens have got themselves well and truly taken for a ride, because it was the corporate, the WEF, it was the Club of Rome, which was set up by a man called Aurelio Pecce and another professor, both of whom were business people. I actually was offered a job by Aurelio Pecce back in 1982 because my uncle had been a director of the Bank of England for 17 years, and he went to the very first Bilderberg. So as a result of that, I was allowed to see behind the City of London mask, and I started to see what things were. So you asked me what woke me up. At that time, I thought it was all brilliant stuff. I thought these people were good people. My uncle certainly was a very nice individual, but they obviously had a hidden agenda. And what happened was that in the Green Party, as I said, I knew the likes of David Bellamy, people like that. And in about 1986, David Icke joined us. 1987, I think it was. He came onto party council, and David and I, we became good friends, and we still are. And
we should come on my bloody show.
well, I'll put a word out for you.
Please do.
I haven't rung him for a bit, but we email and I get responses and stuff. And he's a lovely guy. And I was, I sort of did things with him in the early days when people just laughed at him in the streets, and I witnessed all that. But of course, now all his predictions 30 years ago have come true. Mind you, I'm still waiting for the royal family to shapeshift. So we'll wait that one. We'll still wait for that.
Yeah,
one.
see, that's the only thing really that ever has any. I mean, I don't want to say that's the only thing that lets him down, because I don't disbelieve it.
Well,
I know
I
that
don't
sounds
think you can disbelieve,
weird,
with science being what it is.
but with the normies, that's the
Yeah.
only thing that.
Yeah,
where
well,
he starts.
I think let's suspend that side of things and just look at the way the world is being controlled and how we're being
absolutely, yeah.
technocracy. But going back to that, so when I met Aurelio Pecci, the co-founder of the Club of Rome, he actually offered me a job back in 1982. And he actually said to me in the closing, as we were parting our ways, I'd been to the Olympia in London for a UN conference on the environment, and I was representing the Ecology Party. And but it was a pre-arranged meeting, courtesy of my uncle. And as we were parting company, he said, "You'll be joining us at a very exciting time. We are creating a huge environmental problem that's going to frighten people into wanting a world government run by us." And at the time, I didn't ask him what the problem was, and maybe I should have done. But I was thinking, well, that's marvelous. He's a really nice man, and that means real people and nice people are going to be running the world. So I didn't think any more of it until David Icke started to expose the Bilderberg, the Trilateralists, the Council on Foreign Relations, and how they were going to manipulate us. And of course, attacking CO2 was their big thing. And of course, CO2, I've taken a bit of time to study the science. And I was lucky enough to be able to know David Bellamy. So I was talking with him quite a bit about it.
Which the
And
BBC soon got rid of when he
yeah,
wasn't
well, I
towing the
went I
line.
went round to David's house about 2 weeks after he'd been let go by the BBC, and I came in and said, "Come in, Justin, come in." And then he was filling the kettle, and he just looked at me, and I will remember this as long as I live. He just looked at me and said, "Justin, it's all bad science, Justin, bad science." And he's had tears in his eyes. And so I've made a personal vow that after his death, I was going to make sure his memory would last, because that man did so much to wake children up and families up to the importance of biology, botany, and getting out there, conservation, real conservation, and helping biodiversity. And he was a lovely man, lovely man.
I
So
did a video on him. Don't know what it's called. Can I see it here? Oh, I don't know. But yeah, a
no, you had one
year
with
or two
Attenborough,
ago.
because you had it. Yes, I saw the picture. Yes, you did. Yeah, and
Yeah,
David Attenborough is a broadcaster, and yet, all right, I mean, good luck to him. He's
a
clocked up.
Freemason broadcaster,
Yeah, and
a
he is,
doomsday broadcaster.
well, exactly, and a eugenicist. There's too many human beings. Well, I mean, here's an interesting one for you. If you had the entire population of the world, each with a quarter of an acre, so that's 8.2 billion, and we all had a quarter of an acre, which is 4 tennis courts. Do you know what land size of our land mass would be taken up?
The UK.
No, a bit more.
Okay.
Brazil.
Okay.
Brazil.
See,
So
I
the
did.
rest,
I heard of. Again, I don't know whether it's true, but I heard that only 1% of the Earth is tarmacked over.
yeah. Oh no. I mean, the Earth is a wonderful place. It's got huge potential, and we're not overly crowded. Yes, the reason why we appear to be overly crowded because we've got these mega cities. And why do we have these mega cities? Because we have an economic system, and this is one of the important messages I want to give your viewers today, is that the entire financial system of the world is in the hands of private people, unelected people, unaccountable people, and who meet in complete secrecy to decide how much or how little money the world has to spend. Now, that is why we've got poverty. That's why we've got a third world. It is because you have these ghastly individuals who have been given by our stupid politicians the legislation needed to ensure that all money creation and money supply is in the hands of private, unelected, unaccountable people who meet in complete secrecy. And that is the key to everything, to sort everything out. Once people understand, I mean, how many people know about the Bank for International Settlements? Now, amongst your listeners and viewers, I would imagine quite a few because they're intelligent. But out there, and I've talked to 25 MPs about this since I was told about the Bradbury Pound back in 2012. We'll come on to that. I asked around about 22, something like MPs, have you ever heard of the Bank for International Settlements? What does it do? Not one of them could give me an answer. And yet the Bank for International Settlements is the central bank for all the world's central banks. Over 98% of the world's money creation and money supply is overseen by the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, set up by Montague Norman, the longest-serving governor of the Bank of England, and Homer Schlacht, who later became Hitler's finance minister. And these two were basically asked to do this by the likes of the House of Rothschild, the Warburgs, and all the other big financial families. So the entire system was in private hands beyond what the politicians can or cannot do.
How,
It's staggering, and any
how,
legislation needed. I mean, look at the City of London. The City of London was given special privileges back in the time of William the First, but it was William the Third and William and Mary when they came over in the so-called Glorious Revolution, which was only glorious for the bankers. It was
mm,
funded by the bankers of Amsterdam, the former Venetian bankers and stuff, and the black nobility. And of course, when you had William of Orange arrive, he had no empathy at all for the British people or the English people and Magna Carta and all the rest of it, he set about creating in 1694 the Bank of England and, of course, the national debt. And from then on, our nation was kowtowing to the City of
mm.
London and everything that they were doing.
See,
Yeah,
Hitler hated the Rothschilds, and there's the other theory that he was the first to kick out the Rothschilds banking out of Germany, weren't he?
I think that was for show more than anything else. I don't. I think again, it's how deep you go. I've been studying. There's some very good books at the moment on how the First World War was started and the Second, and you really do need to look at the world's financial situation at the time to understand how both world wars were engineered. So Hitler was a useful idiot. And I mean, there was nothing nice about the Nazis, absolutely. And this is where some revisionists try and say, oh, well, you got to give. No. If you look at the bully boy tactics, the type of, in fact, there was a program on television just yesterday, actually, on one of those many channels, and I just happened to come across it. And you reminded yourself of how Hitler's bodyguards butchered each other. The brown shirts were fighting each other. They were nasty people. There was
They're just
nothing nice.
narcissists.
Yeah, they were. So they were no more than useful idiots because the other side were just as bad. So, and this is what we're going to be coming on to talk about this thing called Humanity First, we're launching, is because people must by now realize that when you have wars and you have sides and you have those sides are the same puppeteers are controlling both sides. And we are simply very silly people allowing criminals, narcissists, psychopaths,
Mm.
sociopaths, any other paths we can think of,
But
who
who are
are,
the people though? Because the trouble is, a lot of these people go unnamed and
yeah, well,
unknown.
this it gets interesting. I mean, there is a pecking order, and we all mentioned the Rothschilds, and they are big
But they
players.
are still
But they're
quite
not
low on
up
the.
at the top. They're not up at
Mm.
the top. And this is why I always say to people, research the black nobility and don't just take what Wikipedia say. It wasn't just about families and the Pope in the 16th century or whatever it was. No, you've got to go back. The deep-rooted black nobility families go right back to Byzantium. They go beyond. In fact, they go to around about 3,000, 4,000 BC. I mean, we're going right back. And you get these same classes. And of course, some people will say that these people are actually Satanists or they involve themselves in rituals which connect with other dimensions and frequencies. And yeah, and I don't dismiss any of that. I mean, I mean, one of the reasons why we are doing what we're doing is because of the fate of children.
Mm. I think
Children,
frequency is a huge thing.
yeah,
Frequency,
frequencies and everything else. And there is an element who will kill children as part of energy rituals and God knows what. I mean, I have to be honest with you. It upsets me so much that I don't do as much as I should on that side of things. I concentrate on the money, but the abuse of children. And this is interesting about Israel. Did you know that there are over 2,000 wanted paedophiles who have fled to Israel, and Israel is stopping them from being deported back to the countries where they committed their crimes? I
I
mean,
did not
I
know.
can't believe the I mean, Israel has committed genocide, apartheid, and everything else, but they're actually harboring paedophiles. And why on earth do all these people who promote Zionism in Israel, then it should be challenged about
Mm.
this?
See, but the world, but again, this is how screwed the world is. We could say that same sentence or that same paragraph about America,
Mm.
about the UK, about, do you know what I mean? It's yes, Israel's in the spotlight, but it's not just Israel.
No, it's not just
They're
Israel. You're
all
right.
doing it. Just look at
I
the
mean,
Epstein list.
I mean, my feeling is very simple. Every child, his divine right or her divine right is to have
Hmm.
a happy childhood.
Absolutely.
A happy child in a loving family in a strong community, a strong and prosperous community. And that is what we are about. This whole Great Rising thing and this Humanity First initiative which we've come up with, which, as I said, is not we're not owning it. Everyone can take part in it. There's no hierarchy, but we're doing it for the children because
Mm.
every child that comes into this frequency, this dimension, this reality, should be entitled to a very happy childhood in a loving family, loving relationships within a strong, prosperous community where you're safe and your life is wonderful. And every child should be entitled to that. And then you look at all the isms and ologies and all the divisions in our society and how everyone basically does things for their own use. I mean, people, you look at society today, they're all wanting to put tattoos and go out there and enjoy themselves. Hedonistic, I think the one word is.
I just find when I go out in society, like today, walking my boy to school, I'm like, oh, look how miserable this woman walking towards us is. You know, and all right, she might have things on her mind, but I see her most days, and she's just like, and I'm just like, how people have just lost their connection to their own soul, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And it's designed. I mean, this is
Mm.
why, all this AI, I mean, we were chatting before we went on, we were chatting about AI and stuff. It's double edged. I mean, it can be used to take you over, but equally, it can be used to be very constructive for whatever you're doing. And because the danger to this is people are being sucked in to what is happening in China, which is what's coming for us, and that is a technocracy where effectively, yes, they can put out very glossy videos showing, oh, look at this, Chinese cars, look at this, Chinese skyscrapers all lit up at night with pretty colors, no crime on the streets, no graffiti, everybody's happy, we all go to places to eat. Oh, this is China. But what they don't show you is that in your home, in your workplace, on the streets, 24/7, the cameras are there, AI is there, they're monitoring your every move, what you can or cannot do in society. Now, some people always say, oh, well, if you
If
don't
you
do
got
anything
nothing to
wrong,
hide,
exactly, put up with it because you've got no crime. Yeah, but then you're being run by the Communist Party. You're being run by, I mean, you've only got to look at that in that massive hall, and they have thousands of people in men in grey suits, with the occasional woman in a sort of drab outfit, and they've got all on the stage, all clapping themselves. And I'm sorry, I don't want to live in that sort of society. I want to live in a society where we can all debate freely amongst ourselves, chat, laugh, and banter. Oh, yes, let's have a bit of banter, a bit of humour, a bit of mockery.
oh, you can't do banter anymore.
Well,
Oh
they haven't quite
no.
outlawed it. And by the way, the Humanity First thing, which we're doing, I feel, I mean, after reading, writing, and arithmetic, children should be learnt good banter, nice banter, and mockery, because we should all be able to practice a
Stiff
lot of
upper lip
humour.
and all that.
Well, exactly. It is humor is a wonderful thing. I mean, I served in the Territorial Army, and I was a gifted amateur. I was a part timer in the army, and I was based in Lancashire with my regiment in Lancashire. And I say the humor coming from the lads was second to none. I mean, it was wonderful, and you were laughing. Even though I was an officer and I had to try and keep some sort of command, you were laughing most of the time because they were just natural
Mm.
comedians. And my grandfather always said, he said, there's more VCs, one in Lancashire than any other county. And the reason is the lads would still be laughing. Even though we're going over the top in the First World War, they'd be laughing and
Do you know what
bantering.
it is? It's that frequency.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
vibration. I promise you. I know it sounds woo woo, but
I know. And
it
of course,
really
if you're
is.
showing on that frequency, you're not showing fear.
Hmm.
So the main thing is have a laugh because the other side hates it. And if you're mocking the other side, and they're all, they're sociopaths and they're full of themselves, they hate it if
Mm.
people are mocking them because they're not
So
being.
even from a spiritual standpoint, and even when I don't know if you've ever done mushrooms or DMT or anything like that, but it's all jolly. And,
It
and
is.
and the spiritual is about being childlike, and that's why when
Exactly.
you
It's
are
like
born
I
and
like
you are
this about
pure,
retirement. About retirement, I'm becoming a child again. It's bloody
yes,
marvelous.
it is. You regressing,
Yeah, annoying to the wife, but I'm enjoying it. You know,
but as long as you
got
can
my
wipe
model
your own
railway. I'm
ass,
getting my toys out. Oh yeah, I'm having fun. Of
exactly, and that's what it should be.
course, it should be. But you see, this is it. We're allowing ourselves to go down this path towards this technocracy, where the state is going to control everything. And we're getting. I mean, people are waking up. I mean, the digital ID. People have woken up to that. They've had to put things on hold. They're going to try and find other ways to bring it all in. But the people. I mean, I was told that, well, my late uncle, as I said, was director of Bank of England. He said that 10,000 people control the world. I met a chap called Ronald Bernard, who was a Dutch banker who was asked to take part in a satanic ritual to murder a child. And in part of the banking thing, he held back, and that's when he blew the whistle. And I met him a few years ago, and he said, I think it was about 8,500 people control the world. So whatever figure, but these are the hardcore people who control the banking
It's
world.
about 300 families, isn't it?
Well, exactly. You've got the council, you've got the committee of 300, all that. So we know we're not talking huge numbers. All right, they've got an army of useful idiots, well-paid useful idiots who do things for them. But the hardcore, say for argument's sake, it's 8 million. Sorry, eight. Well, let's get it right, 8,000.
Mm.
Let's say the hardcore is around about 8,000. Well, there's 8 billion of us. So roughly speaking, that's 1 million. If my maths is correct, that's roughly 1 million of us for every one of them. So we're not exactly, the bad guys aren't exactly in great numbers. But what they have got is got the control of the media. They've got control of all the ways and distractions, sport and everything else. They've done a very good job at attacking us psychologically so that we've become apathetic and we've become sort of,
Malleable.
yeah. And this is where we've got to kick ourselves and tell ourselves we can do better than this. And this is again what humanity first is, what we're doing. And hopefully we're going to get people now to wake up. And if I could perhaps just shall I describe what humanity first
You
is?
can do whatever you
Okay,
wish,
oh boy.
dear boy.
Well, essentially, as I said, our group, the Great Rising, we're just a sort of think tank. We come up with ideas and we do various things. And as I said, we're not trying to set up an organization with membership. We're not doing any of that. There's no leaders or anything like that. What we're trying to do is plant signposts for people to look at and to follow. We're trying to encourage people to engage in critical thinking, common sense, and embrace the common law, natural law. Um, but the most important thing is, when
Natural,
was
I
the
would say
last?
natural over common.
Sorry.
I would say natural over common.
Oh, absolutely. No, I would. I mean, I would recommend your viewers to look up William Keat, Keyte, William Keat, and he has excellent websites on natural law, common law, and the relationship, and what it really is, and how we're all responsible. So I would earnestly recommend people to go and look at his website. Um, but no, what we're trying to do is mobilize human values in all decision making. Now, when I'm going to ask a question, when was the last time you saw compassion, empathy, generosity, kindness, decency, wisdom, love, and truth and service ever in Parliament? When was the last time you ever
Oh,
saw any politician?
I had loads of answers for you until you mentioned the word parliament, and then it all went to shit.
Well, if you open Hansard up, I'll guarantee you don't see very much about human values,
Okay.
because all these individuals effectively are mouthpieces for this entire corrupt financial system that we have got to see off. I mean, we've got a very good academic.
How do we do it though?
Well, this is where I'm coming on to. This is
Okay.
we've got an economist, Richard Werner, and he went on Russia Today about 8 or 9 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, and he actually announced that uh, he said that the city of London was actually a country in its own right. And
Are we talking about the square mile?
yeah, the square
Mm.
mile. And of course it is. It's entirely sovereign. I mean, our sovereign, King Charles, We may come on to him later on. He
He's
has,
only king of the United Kingdom, though, isn't he?
well, even, yeah, well, that's it. He's not king of the square mile because he has to touch the pearl sword. There's a thing called the pearl sword, which you have to touch if you're coming into the City of London on formal occasion as the monarch, because he is not the monarch of the square mile. So that alone should send up an awful lot of warning signs.
I
And
don't
of
think
course,
he's the monarch of England, though, is he? That's what I mean. He's
well,
literally the.
we'll come on to that because the crown is the City of London. The crown is not what's on his head. But on the other hand, he's a useful idiot, and he's more than happy. He promotes the Great Reset and the World Economic Forum. He promotes all the nonsense about climate change. You know, I mean, CO2.
But he's very holistic, though, isn't he? With his medicine, he doesn't do NHS stuff.
No, no. I mean, there's a very good side to him. I'm sure if you sat down with him, he'd be a very jolly fellow to talk to. But the bottom line is, he is a useful idiot to the elite, and he's a puppet. And this is the problem we have. And of course, there are people who just look upon the royal family. And unfortunately, Prince William is in the same boat. He supports the World Economic Forum. He supports the move towards technocracy. And effectively, they are committing treason against the people because they're taking us down a route which is going to involve our technical enslavement. And we've got to, there's going to be another. Well, we're not going to have a civil war because we believe in non-violence. We believe in doing this the right way, using laughter and humour and being jolly and having fun. So we're not going to go around killing people.
Let's just look. Even Jesus Christ got angry. He threw tables.
Oh, the money lenders, the bankers, yes, I'll give you that.
He was fair, but he was firm.
No, you're
I don't want
right.
too much pussiness in our. I don't know. I'll say that I'm a big fucking wimp anyway, but I would like to see some kind of retribution.
Oh no, I mean the people are going to go to prison for their, I mean, in fairness, I mean these people who have created such misery. I look at the third world. I look at the way children and families are struggling in their filth, and no, people responsible for that will be going to prison for the rest of their lives. So let's not mince our words. There will be retribution, but it will be just retribution. It will be done via juries, and it will be done the very proper way. There will be no capital punishment. This is not our remit to take life. Our remit is to see justice, and they will go to prison. Those found guilty will go to prison, and that's how it should be. But we're going to do it in, I suppose I could say, a very British way. Have a cup of tea as we arrest you. Tony Blair, you're under arrest. Oh, by the way, have a cup of tea.
And biscuits.
And a biscuit. No, we'll do it the very British way. We don't need violence on the streets. They would want violence on the streets because that's how they justify doing
martial
what they
law
do to us. So we are better than they are, much better than they are. And they're going to do it in our way. And it will be a different way, a much nicer way. But going back to, human values. So what we want to do is start a movement. And you say, how do we do this? Well, we've got this Agenda 2030 being unrolled. Now, what we call Humanity First is a 5-year strategy, because 5 years will take us up to 2030 and slightly beyond. And what we want to do is scupper their plans to, I mean, look at their 17 sustainable goals. Some of your people will be familiar with the 17 sustainable goals. If you had an 18th sustainable goal, and that was the people take back sovereign control of the world's money, all those 17 goals will be sorted. This is why money is the crux of everything. This is why we've got to really pay attention to money creation and money supply. I'm not an economist, but I can understand it, and if I can bloody understand it, any fool can understand it. So if I can understand it, anyone can. All we've got to do is get involved and find out about it. But yeah, so you've got the 2030 and you've got net zero and the madness of net zero, because...
Doesn't it go up to 2050? Isn't there a 2050 as well?
No, 2030 is a magic year for them. And quite honestly, I feel the way things are happening and the way people are waking up, I think we're going to win within 5 years. I don't think we're going to be struggling up to 2050. I think it'll all be sorted by 2030. I genuinely believe that, because the other side is on a slippery. They've got an Achilles heel, and we've already mentioned it, and that is once people understand money creation and money supply, they'll realize very quickly that that is the only thing that enables this tiny clique of nasty people to control us. If they can't control the money, they can't control us. And I have a very simple slogan: those who control the world's money unlawfully control the world stage unlawfully. Take that away from them, they're useless, they're powerless, they can't do a damn thing. And that is why it's so important that we've got to concentrate on the money side of things. And every nation can create and control its own money creation and money supply, which is based on the wealth of the nation. And that's what we have with the 1914 Bradbury Pound, which I'm not going to talk about it now, but it's the whole thing. But just ask people to go onto our website, which is thegreatrising.org, the-great-rising.org. If you go on that, there's a whole section on money creation. You'll see me challenging the Chancellor of the Exchequer. I've given her 6 questions. She cannot answer them. 5 times my MP has sent these questions to her. She cannot answer them because she knows if she answered any one of those 5 questions honourably, she would expose the entire system. So we've got them over a barrel, and they know it.
Who's going to arrest them, and who's going to send them down? Because the other issue we have is that it's corrupt from every angle.
Yeah. Well, it's the people power, because there's going to come a tipping point. I was talking to a mathematician 10, 15 years ago now, and he said you've only got to get 7% of people, and then you start the ball rolling, and it'll just roll. Because people, as long as we've got the solutions all put in place, and it is all about having solutions now, because if you noticed how the other side, you've all the political parties, they all talk about hope. They want to give you lots of hope. They want to give you lots of change. Oh, we're going to change. Hope and change. Hope and change. I'm fed up with that. All I want
is usually change for the worst.
Exactly.
And the hope
so
never
all
comes.
I want is truth and solutions. What works? And we know that common law, natural law works. We know that sovereign money works. We know that there are solutions to health. Dr. Royal Raymond Wright, for instance. And we've got Nikola Tesla. We've got all these incredible scientists who their inventions can be harnessed, but they've been stopped by the elite, by the tiny number. So people know that there are solutions. It's just about getting ourselves organized, and we do it at a local level. This is the whole point of the strategy. Organizing. When you go onto our website, you'll see 10 points of how to get yourself involved locally. Now, you know, Chris, there are organizations called Council Watch, and Council Watch are basically ordinary people making sure they're in the council chamber, asking questions about climate change and net zero and where the money is going, how the money is being spent, etc., and basically holding councillors to account. We need to have a council watch in every council chamber up and down the land. Now, there's an obvious way, because they know that the madness behind the CO2, I mean, CO2 amounts to only 0.04% of the Earth's atmosphere. I've had Extinction Rebellion, who are lovely people, some of them, they're just very naive and very gullible. I had one Extinction Rebellion lady sitting down in the street in Totnes tell me there was 60% of the Earth's atmosphere was CO2. It's 0.04%. If it drops below 0.18%, 0.018, something like that, the trees die, the foliage dies. We want more CO2, not less. But so many good people in the Greens, and I used to be in the Green Party and the Ecology Party, as I said before, and we need these people. Please get back to being real Greens.
How good can you be if you're that thick?
Well, I think
we go back to that useful idiot thing again. If you're that easily swayed and you're that easily,
but I've got to say, in fairness, I once believed in man-made global warming until David Bellamy told me what an idiot I was being.
And I would have to agree with him.
So I'm sorry. We're all capable of being silly, and we're all capable of being gullible. And I've been. I haven't got a track record to be proud of, But I did wake up about 30 years ago. But I was going along with all the twaddle I was getting on the television. I believed the BBC News. I believed ITV. We all went along with it because
Oh
we.
yeah, absolutely.
But I woke up 30 odd years ago. So if people are waking up now, they're to be encouraged, not mocked for being, how can you be so stupid? Because we all were so stupid. I'm the first one to say I'm almost ashamed. I hope nobody ever writes my history, my autobiography. I'm embarrassed by some of the things I used to believe. But I'm here today feeling, well, let's do something about it. And we can silence this tiny number of people who want to control us. And we do it nicely and we do it peacefully and we just take down. I mean, China, when you look at, and India with over 1 billion people, these places need to be divided up into smaller countries. And there was a lovely Austrian Austrian Jew. He used to describe himself, I am the Austrian Jew, he said. That's right. And he had a wonderful, wonderful sense of humor. A chap called Leopold Kohr, Kohr, Leopold Kohr. And he was a lovely man. And I met him I was in the Ecology Party, and he talked about a thing called the breakdown of nations. He said, small nations only create small problems. Large nations create large problems. And more often than not, those large nations are artificial because they've been created by use of violence and everything else. If you had a myriad of small countries, small nations, all working in harmony together on things that all affect us, like transport and, whatever it is, and we all do it in the right way, you'll have world peace. But when you have huge countries and little countries, and
Isn't that what they tried to sell?
everybody,
Isn't that what they tried to sell the European Union as?
well, you see, the European Union was a project courtesy of the Nazis after the Second World War. Was it the Red Hotel or something? There was at Strasbourg. There was all sorts of shenanigans going on behind the scenes to get ready for was it the Fifth Reich they called it? Yeah. Basically, the EU was set up by the nasty people. If there was a European, not federation, but a confederation set up by nice people, where we just said, look, we've all got our countries, and we want to be able to go abroad, or we want to, transport, we want to take a train to go through countries. Let's sort out the red tape. Let's all cohabit in harmony, and let's just get on with one another, enjoy each other's diversity in each other's cultures and everything else, but we all work in harmony. And of course, smaller nations can do that. But when you've got, take America and Trump's America at the moment, trying to be the world's policeman, as we were in the Victorian times. And, again, what right have we got to do it? We've got to get away from this feeling that we are here to control others. It's all about service and getting on with one another. I remember going to Iran. I was in Iran in 1999 at an earthquake conference. And they were lovely people. All I can say, the Iranians were lovely people, very generous. And I remember getting into a taxi, and the taxi driver just turned around and said, please, mister, please, can you explain why you English hate us? Well, I don't hate anybody. And it's the politicians who have whipped up this confrontation and everything else. I'm sorry, human beings left with human beings, going into another country, all you'll get is hospitality. Because if you smile, they'll smile back. If you show a child, they'll show their children. And you're a human being. And this is where we're getting back to human values. You go to another country and meet other people, you share common values and you find those values and you get on fine. But the politicians come who seek division because they want a career and everything else. And then the puppeteers are controlling things as well. And we're at war with one another, and we're putting bayonets into each other and trying to shoot each other. I mean, as I said, I'm an ex-soldier, albeit an amateur, and I do read military history, especially command and all the rest of it. But when you think about it, the Christmas truce in the First World War, do you remember the Christmas truce? When
They all played football
British
and
and
Christmas
Germans
Eve.
came together, shared photographs, smoked their pipes, smoked their cigarettes, played a game of football, swapped into loving and getting. Go back into the trenches. Next few days, if there was an attack, they'd be shoving bayonets into each other. That's madness. And this is what we've got to get away from. We're sick to death of politicians. We're sick to death of the oligarchs. We're sick to death of the people who control the media. You know, let's work. Let's get our human values mobilized. Let's take human values into battle and win, and stop the politicians and stop all this division. I mean, we've got patriots. I mean, this drives me mad. You've got progressives and patriots, the left and the right, on the political spectrum, which the other side created because they need people having a go at each other. I mean, it's crazy.
You have to have opposing sides.
Exactly. You've got to have your sides. Now look at the patriots. Most of them, almost all of them, are in support of Israel. But I'm saying to myself, hang on, this is weird, because you're a patriot for this country, so how are you being a patriot for another country? And then when you look at the track record of what's going on in that country with Palestine and everything else, and that's a whole new argument. My father was in the Royal Marine Commandos, and he was an officer in the Royal Marine Commandos, and he missed the war, and he was in Malta, and he suddenly found in spring of 1948 he was called up to go to Jerusalem. He went to Haifa and then on to Jerusalem because they were being called in to escort a 500 vehicle convoy to withdraw the British mandate from Palestine, and they were withdrawing. So they had to escort all these civilians and diplomats and all the rest of it from Jerusalem. And as my father was preparing part of the route that he was going to be responsible, in fact, he was the last one out of Jerusalem. Some of his men came back ashen-faced, having investigated some shooting, and in a farmstead nearby, because we're trying to make sure there were no snipers and stuff to attack the convoy. And they found a mother, a father, and 3 children had been gunned down in their home, and Palestinian ladies already there wailing and looking after the bodies, and they'd been gunned down by Zionist paramilitaries. And then you had the bombing of the King David Hotel. But people don't know about this. The UN sent a peace envoy, Count Folke Bernadotte, in 1948 to try and sort out the way of having to try and to see if there could be a partition and to try and work towards peace. And the Zionists didn't want that, so they got him in his car and killed him, murdered him, shot him. Look it up, Count Folke Bernadotte. He was a Swedish aristocrat. Count Bernadotte. And nobody knows about this. The Israelis carried out the Nakba, the killing. I mean, they were moving people by fear. And I think close up to 13, 14, 15,000 innocent people were murdered. Yes, October the 7th was bad. But I asked the campaign against anti-Semitism, and I said, well, can you please explain to me the difference between the terrorism practiced by Hamas on October the 7th, when it was, September, and the Nakba in 1948. What is the difference? And they can't answer it because they refuse to. 10 times I keep asking them, and they won't answer this one simple question. I mean, it is incredible. The Zionists, not the Jews, because you see so many Jews walking with the Palestinians in these hate marches. There's nothing hate about them. I've been in them. I have every week I'm outside the town hall for 1 hour. For the Palestinians, and you meet the loveliest people. There's no hatred there. So the whole propaganda that's been set up to then divide people. So you've got the patriots supporting Israel, which just, I can't get my head around that. I really genuinely can't get my head around. But then we've got the progressives who have got the Antifa and the people who want to put balaclavas over their heads and they want to shout and be hating others. That is not the way we do it. So human values and children, let's unite and be human beings first against the common foe. And these are the people who are effectively running the show because they control the money. I think I'm rabbiting on a bit here, but
no, not. My only thing really is with take certain boat people and their ethics.
This is being done. That is all deliberate.
There's a certain group of people, shall we say, that it doesn't matter how nice your intention of human ethics and the animals, you some people you can't. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I totally agree. I know where you're coming from, and let's just look at it this way. You've got the Zionists, who basically are militant religion, religion that's happy to kill for their religion, which is wrong. But then you've got the Islamists, again, religion, they're happy to kill for their religion. There's nothing very spiritual about any of that, and yet it happens. But what is the common factor between Islamism and Zionism? There is actually a common factor, in fact, a cult. And this is a cult that needs to be in the public eye. And this is the cult of the Sabbatean Frankists. These are the people who, there is a cult that was started in 1666. Think of the title. And in the 1770s, there was a coming together between the House of Rothschild, Jacob Frank, who was continuing with this cult, and Weizsäcker, who invented the Illuminati in Bavaria and eventually took over the much of the Freemasonry movement. Now, the Sabbateans, for shorthand, Sabbateans, their philosophy is very simple. The quickest way to meet God is to commit evil. So they're happy to have sex, incense, child murder, rape. They're happy to have wars. They're happy
Bestiality as well, apparently.
Oh God, you name the foulest things, they will do it. And this cult exists. There's no ifs. This is historical. And they believe the more evil you can do, the quicker you find God. So if you want an explanation, they are behind the Wahhabis, the Saudis who want to cut heads off and basically they're behind that. They've penetrated the Catholic Church with the Jesuits, and they've penetrated, obviously, Judaism with Zionism. And you look at all that, and you will see a common hand, this appalling cult. And again, the only way this cult is going to be defeated is by exposing it, by people saying, we know what you're doing, and to outlaw this cult and to arrest all the proponents for this cult. So there's something else that we've got to all put into the mix, because this, you'll never read that in the mainstream media. You'll never see any of that, and yet it's all
You
historical.
won't even see it on GB News.
Well, GB News is just Israel news. It's Tel Aviv news. I mean, I'm sorry. It's very sad because they do have some good stuff, but on the whole, it is just twaddle. No, I mean, all the mainstream.
Is Neil still on there, or is he not on there?
Neil is still on,
Oh, he
but
is.
he's doing things from home. He's not involved in any of the studios or anything like that, so we don't see him, and I don't talk to him about that too much. But yeah, I mean, he is broadly supportive of all this side of things in what we're trying to do with Humanity First, because it is just about common values, and of course the thing that human values. But what Neil is interested in is real history, which we are too. And what we're doing at the moment is we're exploring the real truth about Jesus. That's one of the things we're looking at with open minds. We don't take sides. We just look at things with critical thinking.
Now, when
and
you
open
say
minds.
Jesus, is that, do you mean Joshua?
Yeah, we're talking about. Well, I'm at the moment. We've got a very interesting lady called Jennifer who's on board with us, and she's got this thing with the lead codices, and I recommend this is all new history. Well, not new history. This is real history in the making, because this has been suppressed by the Catholic Church and the conventional religions. They don't really want this. You see, the Council of Nicaea, and was it 324 AD or 325 AD or something like that? They basically decided what was going to be taught in Christianity. The Old Testament, New Testament, all that. And you were told this is the belief. These are what you've got to believe. But there's a huge amount of the Gnostics and the Cathars and stuff. There's a huge amount of stuff which has got to come out. And it's a much more loving religion. I mean, you look at the Old Testament and it's all about fire and brimstone, Sodom and Gomorrah, killing people. Is that the same God as in the New Testament, where you've got a loving God, turn the other cheek, etc.?
Wasn't the king that wrote that a little bit unhinged, though?
Oh, well, that's the authorized. Yeah, now that's the authorized. What was it, the King James James the First Bible, the 1611. authorized version of the Bible. Yeah, well, some historians believe that James had a penchant for children, and he was also involved in pursuit of witchcraft and various things. There was an unpleasant side to him, shall we say. I don't know enough. I can't. But there would seem to be an awful lot that suggests that James I wasn't the nicest person in the field. And of course, you've got to laugh. Look at the Church of England, set up by Henry VIII. Managed to have two of his wives executed, absolute bully, and a psychopath. And in his reign, the Church of England was set up. And we seem to sort of feel we've got to revere that. I mean, I would be very suspicious if a tyrant set up a church.
I being somebody that's practiced the sacred secretion and understanding like the Christos oil that goes down that makes so much more sense to me. And so when people talk about the return of Christ, to me, that's not going to be as some bloke in a beard. It's going to be, oh, you're black. It's going to be as an uploaded Christ consciousness.
It's increased awareness. And
that's what I think.
And this is where Jennifer and her team are so interesting, because you've got the Abbas, you've got the Ethiopians and the people who had the old texts. Now, I'm not an expert on this. Money is my side of things, but looking at the ancient texts that the Ethiopians scribbled away and kept going. And so the real truth about Jesus is coming out. So I think this is and the Gnostics. In other words, I mean, one of the things that David Icke said right from the word go was, we are all God. We are all part of this divine. And, they mocked him because they said, oh, you think you're Jesus. Or that. No, he was simply saying we are all divine. There's divinity in all of us.
We're all co-creators.
Yeah.
Everything in this room was somebody's thought at one point until it was made.
And it's all about frequencies and energy. And we are rising up. And this is one reason why we're called the Great Rising, because our team is called the Great Rising, because it's the great rising of knowledge, the great rising of awareness, and it's not an ego trip for anybody. It's just to take us to do better, to take us above ourselves, to see what really is going on. And when we do find those who are doing wrong, we don't fire and brimstone them or anything. We say, love, it takes priority, and we're going to sort this out with justice, and justice will be done. But we need the numbers. We need people to rise up with this new awareness, and then to carry out this new awareness in the right way, and that is mobilizing human values. And all decisions in life should involve human values. As I said, compassion, I've written it down here so I don't forget. Compassion, empathy, generosity, kindness, decency, wisdom, love, service, truth. How can anyone disagree with any of that? And yet, do we see that in our decision making? Of course we don't, because the wrong uns are there, and we've got idiot puppets being pulled by puppeteers who are laughing at us in the shadows, but not for much longer, because people are waking up.
There you go. What a nice place to finish it. They are. I've always said that I'm quietly optimistic that things are moving in the right direction. How much of it we see in our lifetime, I don't know, but I think things are going in the right way.
Well, the most important thing is we all have egos under control. I will make a public announcement now. Do not vote for me. Never put me in a position of power. And I always remember Billy Connolly said, anyone who wants to take part in politics, ban them from life.
And I've always said that anyone who wants to become a politician should be forced to do mushrooms.
Yeah. I mean,
and have a
spiritual if you declare
experience.
War, you're the only one going to the front line.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, I'm sorry. It's time for this madness to end and for us to rise up.
Perfect. There you go. Well, thank you for joining me, Justin. It's been fabulous as always. I shall leave the links to the Grand Rising in the video description.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. It was always a pleasure. And I hope everyone watching it has enjoyed it. But until next time, look after yourselves, take care, and I shall see you on the next one. Bye for now.